Y'all, the devil don't want me to give y'all these in content reviews because I did the same thing. This is the third time in a row. I've been trying to give y'all this in contempt, and I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, let me move the mouse away from the stop button. How about that? So that way I don't even accidentally hit the stop button. But this is in contempt, season 1, episode 4. So this episode was sort of all over the place. So y'all see my little silly fan because summer has finally decided to show up because we done skipped spring. There is no spring because it was 40 degrees on Monday and it was 90 degrees today. So there's no spring around here. Anyway, and of course now I'm trying to hold off on turning on my air conditioner. That's probably not gonna last too long because I ain't gonna be uncomfortable. I'm gonna tell you that now. Damn it, the bill come one way or the other. So I'm not gonna be uncomfortable on the bill I gotta pay anyway. But girl, that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. Um, this episode is sort of a lot going on. So I'm gonna try to streamline the storylines as much as possible rather than jumping back and forth because it's just a lot. But let's start with Bennett and Tracy. So we left off last week with Tracy finding out that Bennett had a fiance, and of course, she spends this whole episode being obsessed about Bennett's fiance. Um, she's stalking a girl on social media, and of course, she's like, the girl is gorgeous, she's beautiful, But what is it that he saw in her that he didn't see in me? And I think that that's kind of weird because what I'm not understanding is at what point did you let him know that you were an option? Like, did he not choose you or did the opportunity just never present itself? Because it sounds like, from what we know, and I'm realizing that there's some backstories that we don't have all the info on, but based on what we know at this point on the backstories, Tracy, that was your law professor. So it wasn't ethical for him to approach you. And then it sounds like he lived out of state. Like at some point you graduated, he wrote a book, he went off to do the Hollywood thing and promote his book and all of that. And he's not even living in New York at this time. So why would he approach you for a potential relationship when he's living across country in LA, which I'm assuming is where he lives. I shouldn't make that assumption, but whatever. You're doing the LA thing, you making movies, you live in LA, fuck it. Until they tell me different. So why in the world would you even think that I don't feel like you're taking it personal and it's not a personal decision. Like he didn't not choose you. You just weren't available. I don't know if that sounds crazy, but anyway, but she's taking it personal, like, why me? Why not me? Why, why didn't he choose me? Why did he want me? Girl, whatever. Um, Later on in the episode, she finds out where they're going to dinner. She invites her dad to dinner at the same restaurant. So they end up having dinner with her, Bennett, the fiance, and her dad. And she makes a fool of herself because it's clear to everybody at the table that she's interested in Bennett. And to me, that is so... Oh, that's just so not cute. I hate when I see people do that, whether it be men or women. Like, have some dignity about your situation. Like, we've all been in situations where we're around somebody that we're interested in, or we're around somebody that we think might have potential, or they're with their significant other that we think they shouldn't be with, whatever. Don't make no fool of yourself. Like, been there and done that, y'all. Learn from me. Been there and done that. Because I'm not going to sit here and act like I ain't never made a fool of myself for a man. Because Lord knows I have. But just, girl, let your daddy take you to another restaurant. Don't even put yourself in that situation. But anyway, it was clear to everybody by the end of that conversation, by the end of that dinner, that you was in love with this dude. So we got that going on. Then we have the situation with the rookie. It's Tracy's turn to school the rookie, and of course the supervisor is still evaluating them because they're still up. Her and Charlie are still competing for the supervisor position. So he's there observing her, observing her with the rookie. So they have this case. Whew, okay, sorry about that. I had to pause. Pause for the cause. I had to blow my nose. These allergies, my allergies have been kicking my butt all week long. Like, I have felt horrible all week. I'm sorry, TMI. Back to the story. So she's supervising a rookie, and they get a case of a subway rubber. Basically, a guy who rubs against women in the subway with an erection. Clearly, that's something that happens often in New York, that they even have terms for it. And this dude is a repeat offender. Like, he's been picked up 12 times. He pleads no guilt. No, pleads not guilty. Makes bail. And, Tracy's like, look, you keep a distance this far from anyone, anybody. Don't touch nobody. Don't come near nobody. If you got a problem, you call me. If you feel an urge, you give me a call. And the rookie, the rookie's learning. She's starting to come around a little bit. She's starting to let down her guard. Last week they got her to smoke some weed. And I think that might have been the start of something there. Because she's actually listening. She's listening. Before she thought she knew. She thought 3 years of law school prepared her and it wasn't anything these people could teach her and she knew better than them. But she's starting to learn now, I think, that, they're not steering her wrong. That they are really trying to give her some good information. And so what happened was, everything Tracy told her to do, she did. Tracy was like, you gotta, you have to look like you like your client. You have to, touch him. And she was like, but I don't like him and I don't want to touch him. But you saw that she did it. And she actually tried. She put forth some effort. So with that case, what's going to end up, what ends up happening with that case, because like I said, I want to try to streamline these stories a little bit. Sorry. What ends up happening with that case is, come to find out, the dude has a twin. And him and his twin both have the same problem, that they get erections rubbing up against, like she made the connection that they get erections with pantsuits. How she made that connection, I'm still not sure. But she made the connection, and she presents it to the judge, and she actually is able to show the judge, look, one, they're twins, and they're genetically deposed to, there's a real medical term for the problem that they have, which it's funny because she found this information out from the dinner with Bennett and his fiance. His fiance actually told her this information. The fiance is smart. When they go to dinner, the fiance is smart. She's well-traveled. She's really, even Tracy had to admit, I can't find nothing wrong with her. Like, she's beautiful. She's gorgeous. She's the real deal. Like, I get why he's with her. I just don't, it doesn't change the fact that she still had feelings for him and kind of thought that some things were going to kind of go their way. But it's funny that she actually got the information about this particular medical condition from the fiance. She was able to present it to the judge and able to show, look, these are twin brothers. They're identical. They have the same genetic makeup. And they both have the same problem. So she was able to get them into a rehab versus jail. So, that's a win for the public defenders. That's a win. Yay. The other thing that happened last week, the case that they had last week with the guy who they said was killed his mom, but they had evidence that he didn't, but the judge wouldn't let it in. And Tracy, that's the white girl, Tracy ended up basically jury tampering. Tracy ended up setting up a situation where a juror heard evidence that the juror wasn't supposed to hear. Well, come to find out, at the beginning of the episode, we see, I guess it's some sort of like judges roundtable. I'm sure your lawyers out there will know the exact term of what this is, but the judges look like they're getting together, discussing their cases, discussing any problems that they're having, that kind of thing. And the judge that was on that particular case said, yeah, I think I have a jury tampering situation. She was like, when I polled the jury, they shared with me, basically, one of the jurors shared with me that that the defense attorney let it be known certain things that weren't supposed to get in, and I believe it was done purposely. I don't believe it was an accident. The judge that Tracy's having an affair with, who knew, he saw it happen. He saw it go down. And I thought he was going to turn her in. Last week, I was like, oh, this dirty mother going to turn her in. But come to find out, he didn't turn her in, but he was in the room when the other judge voiced her concern. And so I guess she's the head judge. The head judge was like, so what do you want to do? Do you want to forward this for a ethical investigation? And the judge was like, let me think about it. Let me decide. So Tracy walks up on the guy she's having an affair with, the judge she's having an affair with, and he was like, yo, keep on walking. You are kryptonite right now. You about to be brought up on ethics charges, and I can't be seen with you. And she's like, what? What are you talking about? So come to find out, the judge was going to actually move forward with this investigation, but what is his name? I don't want to keep saying the other judge. I can't remember the guy's name. They say it in the episode, but I didn't write his name down. But he actually is able to talk the judge out of it. Like, do you really want that headache? Like, I got enough on my plate. I've had some fishy things come through my courtroom, but I don't have time to investigate everything. And, sometimes some things you just got to let go. And, he was able to kind of talk her out of it, but not in an obvious way. Like, it wasn't like, it didn't sound like he was defending Tracy. It was just like, I've had her in my courtroom before, and I just sound something that sounds like something that really she really wouldn't do. You know what I mean? Like, he, in my opinion, he really looked out for her, and he really went out on a limb for her. But let me say this for a minute, because I'm about to get you together, Miss Tracy. You ungrateful bitch. Because when he came back to you and he told you what he did, your attitude about it was like, okay, whatever. Like, why were you making a big deal about it anyway? It's not a big deal. He was like, you could have lost your damn law license behind this. And she was like, whatever, I didn't do anything wrong. And he was like, yeah, you did. Like, you might have felt like you were doing it for the right reasons, but you violated. And she was like, and what about you, sleeping on your wife, having an affair with me? He was like, that's two totally different things. Like, one is ethical, one is legal. And she was like, well, you might not be breaking any laws by sleeping with me, but it damn sure is unethical. Like, she really was justifying the whole situation and throwing it back at him. I'm like, bitch, he just saved you. And your ass need to be, well, you always on your knees with him anyway. But you really need to be thanking him. Because he actually saved you. Because your ass was really about to be up shit's creek without a paddle. Because it really was no, like, they had you hook, line, and sinker. And I just felt like you were being real ungrateful and really on some bullshit. So I'm not liking that. It's not a good look, Tracy. Sometimes when you're right, you're right. When you're wrong, you're wrong. And sometimes we do the wrong thing for the right reasons, but you got to acknowledge that that's what it is. Like, you can't pretend like you didn't do something wrong, especially when there's people that got your back. And he had your back, because he could have left you hanging. He could have dogged you out. Hell, he could have reported you himself. So you might not want to cut your nose off to spite your face, bitch. And I'm done with you. After the dinner, Tracy ends up over Charlie's house. Charlie is the guy in the office that they seem to sleep together whenever they feel like it. She showed up at his house and she slept with him. She had that angry sex with him because she couldn't have it with Bennett. Then let's dig into the case of the week. We're going to come back to Tracy and her dad. And yeah, the case of the week and then Tracy and her dad. So let's dig into the case of the week. Hold on. All right. Case of the week. Because, just like shows like this, there's always that case of the week. So this week we have a situation where we have a white guy, who is caught basically in a drug deal. And the situation is that the cops have the marked money and they have the product. And they're able to basically say that the money, came from the stash that they used in in the bust, and the drugs came from the stash that they used. Like, they set them up, and that's their evidence is, hey, it's our money, it's our drugs, so that's how we know he made the deal. And then the eyewitness is another cop who's saying, look, I was the undercover, that's the dude I made the deal with. Well, in the beginning, it's Charlie's case, so it's not Tracy's case, it's Charlie's case. Charlie goes to the guy and he says, look, they got you dead to rights. They got the money. They got you. He was like, I need a drug rehab program. And Charlie was like, I'm probably not going to be able to get that for you because The prosecutor on this case probably ain't going to do business. He ain't going to do a deal. And the dude was like, well, if he ain't going to do a deal, I can't do nothing for you because that's what I need. So they decided to go to court, even though it's one of those unwinnable cases. It's one of those cases that you ain't never supposed to take to court. Come to find out, Charlie has a relationship, a bad relationship, with this prosecutor. Now, that's what I was saying about a lot of these characters have backstories that we don't have all the information about yet. And we may never get all of it, but suffice to say, they have a history. And if you remember 2 episodes ago with the case with the little boy being charged as an adult for the murder, the gang situation, it's that same prosecutor. It's that same young black guy who the grandmother tried to get him to reduce the well, not reduce the charges, but to try in family court and try him as a juvenile rather than as an adult. And he was like, nope, can't do it. So it's the same dude. Well, him and Charlie end up having basically a dick contest. You know how men do. You know, ego and who's is bigger. And that's what they end up really having. And neither one of them want to give in. Neither one of them want to, take a deal or make a plea or whatever. And basically, Charlie's ego is what has him going to court over a case he really should have settled. Even though his client was like, I don't really want to settle. I need a drug program. I'm not trying to settle. But everybody's telling him you need to settle this case. But then when he goes to talk to the prosecutor is an ass. So then Charlie becomes an ass. And then it's about whose dick is bigger. And it's who gonna get who off. They go to court. And in my opinion, Charlie brilliantly flips it. And he says, you are not showing your work. You know how in school, when you were in math class, you couldn't just tell the math teacher that 2 + 2 = 4. You had to show, well, that's not a good example. You couldn't, algebra class is a bad example. You couldn't just say x = 10. You had to show how you got to x = 10. You have to show how you worked it out, how you solved the equation. And if you just put x = 10 on a math test, a lot of times the teacher wouldn't give you credit if you didn't show your work, because you had to prove how you got to that answer, right? Charlie took that mindset and flipped it. And that's what he said. He was like, once upon a time, a cop could come into court and say, you just have to believe me because I'm a cop. And that should speak for itself because I'm a cop. And I'm telling you that he did it and I'm the eyewitness and that should be enough. Come to find out the money was marked, but they didn't mark the money until after the drug buy. They didn't record the drug buy. They didn't record the serial numbers of the money. Like, there was no proof of anything they were saying other than their word that this is what they did and this is standard operating procedure. And in my opinion, Charlie did a good job of flipping it, saying, once upon a time we could just believe the cops, but we're not at that place anymore. And the cops don't get a pass because we do have Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, where we have these situations where cops are gutting people down in the street and lying about it. And if it weren't for the fact that we had videotape showing us that the cops were lying and they were not trustworthy, we would just believe them because they were the cops. And he was like, we can't do that anymore. They don't get a pass anymore. And of course the prosecutor was like, yo, you can't, don't let him get you riled up into turning this into a police brutality case. That's not what this is about. This is about this guy who's a drug dealer, who we have proof that he's a drug dealer, and that's it. Don't let him twist this around into something that it's not. Come to find out, the jury went with what Charlie was saying, and the guy got off. And, I have to ask myself, if I went on a jury, would that have been enough for me to change my mind? And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I think maybe, yeah. Because I don't believe nothing cops say no more. For real. Seriously. And because of that. Because of the whole Tamir Rice and Eric Garner and I forget the guy's name down in I think it was South Carolina, who was running away from the cops, and they have it on tape, and the cop lied. And if it wasn't for the fact that that tape surfaced, all of a sudden now we find, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't automatically just give the police a pass. Oh, the police said it happened. Oh, okay. Fuck out of here with that. I don't do that. So I thought that was a brilliant defense that I think was really well done. I mean, it's TV, so y'all know how that go. But I think it was well done. All right, so we're going to end with Tracy and her dad. It's clear that Tracy and her dad have a rocky relationship. He doesn't respect her job. He doesn't respect what she's doing. He's a judge who has a lot of clout, and his thing is basically you can work anywhere in the city. Why are you wasting your talents here? Like, I get how you feel about your clients and all of that, but you need to make a living. You barely making ends meet. I'm picking up your bills. You getting the electric cut off. Like, he doesn't respect her job. And then come to find out they had her brother, which she talked about last week. I don't think I mentioned it in the review, but her brother is in jail. Well, come to find out he's getting ready to get out of jail, and he was supposed to be going to live with the father. Well, the parole officer contacts Tracy and is like, look, we contacted your dad and he changed his mind about letting your brother stay with him, and unless we have somewhere for your brother to stay, he can't get out. And, I need to verify that he has somewhere to stay or he ain't going nowhere. So Tracy is like, she confronts her dad and she's like, what the fuck is that about? Like, why can't he stay with you? What happened? And the father was like, look, I decided I gave my son all the opportunities that I could give him, and I owe him nothing else. And I'm not going to extend myself to him any further. He had the best of everything. He had all the opportunities. He chose a life of crime, and he's just going to have to deal with it. But I can't have him in my home. Like, I'm not doing it. And I can understand that to a certain extent. Well, Tracy's like, well, I don't have nowhere for him to stay. Like, I'm barely making ends meet myself. I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate. Like, I don't have nowhere for him to live. And the dad was like, that's not your concern either. It's not your job. Like, he's your brother. You love him, but it's not your job to take care of him. And so don't feel bad. And it'll happen the way it's going to happen. He was like, and I need you to focus on yourself. And that's when he kind of let her know, you made a fool out of yourself at dinner. Everybody at the table knew that you had feelings for Bennett. I'm tired of seeing you wasting your talents. Because while they were at dinner, she got a call from the pervert, the twin. And, of course, she's telling him, don't you go nowhere. You put an ice pack on it if you have to. You know what I mean? Like, and, of course, everybody at the table knew what she was talking about. And her father's just like, what kind of clientele are you dealing with? You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where, well, it's not where the episode ended. The episode ended with them winning the case. But that story obviously is going to be ongoing, and we'll see where everything goes with her brother and how that situation comes down with her brother. I guess where we're ending with this is, I already told y'all how I felt about Tracy. Bitch, get over yourself. Like, you fucked up. Apologize. Thank the judge. Move on. Charlie, you won the case, but there was a good conversation between Charlie and Tracy where she tells him, look, don't let your ego get in the way of your client. Like, be humble, apologize, make a deal. Oh, all right, I'm going to end it on this, y'all. Funny thing happened. Rookie tried to tell Tracy, you need to get rid of all your bad juju. You know what I mean? You need to cleanse yourself, get Bennett out your system, and I'm going to take you to get what those things called? A V-sting. And for those who don't know what a V-sting is, and I've seen them before, I've never had one. Basically, you sit over a pot, and there are herbs and different things that come up off the pot, that steam up off the pot to cleanse your vajayjay. And it's supposed to get rid of, it's just a cleanse. It's like a colonic in the opposite direction, And it's supposed to cleanse everything out. Well, Rookie talks Tracy into getting one done. She's like, you need to get Bennett out your system. Let's go get this V-sting. I'll treat you to it. And Rookie is having a good conversation. She's trying to figure out, why doesn't Tracy like me? Why does Tracy give me such a hard time? And they're actually bonding a little bit and having a decent conversation. until that daggone Tracy starts itching in her vajayjay. And she was like, she calls the spa lady in, and she's like, yo, what's in this? Like, I asked you what's in this because I'm starting to itch. What's going on? And she was like, well, no. She said, I told you everything that's in there. She was like, she said, are you allergic to anything? She was like, no. She said, unless you said sage. She said, I didn't hear you say sage. Come to find out, she said sage, but she used a different word for sage. Girl, Tracy was like, you got to use English when you're talking to people and telling people what it is. Like, what are you talking about? And she takes the water. You know, you go to a spa, they have like the cucumber lemon water. She takes the water and pours it down in her. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. That scene had me dying. But anyway, that's kind of where we were this week with In Contempt. So y'all let me know how y'all think. I'm about to go watch this Empire and this Star, y'all. About to get into it and take me a daggone sinus pill. All right? See y'all later. Peace.